Hey everybody, it's your girl Levi Chick here, coming to help make your music class better. I am coming today with an overview of the Praxis 2 examination in music content knowledge. I do want to share with you that I am not a test taker. I've never been a great test taker. When I heard the word test, it was a wrap for me. And even when I was in school, I was that way. This particular college that I attended was at HBCU, and unfortunately, I could not graduate until I had successfully passed the Praxis 2 content knowledge, music content knowledge examination. Talk a little bit about alphabet A. The music content knowledge has 4 parts. The first part, and it's only 15%, is music history and literature. The second part is the theory and composition, that is 16%. The third part, as you can see, is performance, and that's 22%. And the fourth and final part has many parts. That's why it is the highest percentage. That is the pedagogy, professional issues, and technology, with 47%. Today I want to talk about the music history and literature. So today I am going to just show you guys, and I'm going to be reading from the cards, but I'm going to show you what I made. When I was taking this particular exam and studying for this exam, I was led to get some index cards. On those index cards, I made like the Quizlets. I'm sure you've seen those, where it has the question and then at the end it'll show you the subject, or vice versa. I just had to have it in my hand. So the first part I want to talk about is A. And A consists of the music history and literature. As you can see, and I'm going to have it listed here. The A part, you need to understand the history of major developments in musical style and the significant characteristics of important music styles in historical periods. This also includes the composer and the style of the music. For example, when you talk about medieval music, you have to remember these 4 things. And I want to shout out all of the people that has helped me develop as a musician, even through the Praxis exam and beyond. And I can honestly say that I always felt that the Praxis examination content knowledge was geared towards band directors and not choral directors. But I'll never forget this 4 acronym to SLAP. SLAP deals with sacred texts, Latin, a cappella singing, and polyphonic. So the medieval period is categorized by those 4 things, those 4 elements. So let's go here, and I'm going to dig in to what I wrote down. And bear with me here, because it's here on my phone, even though you can see it. And you may want to go ahead and write your own, index cards. Or if you're the type that, hey, I just need to see what you're saying, I just need to hear it, then that's fine. I am a visual learner, but I also consider myself a kinesthetic learner. Music has always been in my hands as a piano player, as a classical pianist. So I've always had to have those 2 things. 450 to 1450, we're going to start with Pope Gregory I. You know, he was responsible for the Gregorian chant. And Dimitri is also the inventor of a new art, Ars Nova. Hildegard of Bingen owes accessories. Don't forget about the composer Guillaume Dufay. And Benchiois. Now, I may not be saying all these right. Guillaume de Mochat is another successful composer in the medieval period. And Guillaume was known for the Notre Dame Mass. So, if you will, please go and take a listen to these composers and these songs so you can hear sacred text, Latin language, a cappella singing, polyphonic. All right, next we're going to get into the Renaissance period. The Renaissance period, as we know, um, starts from 1450 to 1600. That's when you had Josquin de Press with the Ave Maria, Virgo Serena, Giovanni Perluigi da Palestrina, Pope Marcellus Mass, and Thomas Welkes as Vista Vaz Descendant. I want you to go and to listen to that as well. And I noticed I only had three composers. I'm only sharing three composers per musical period. Next, we're going to go to one of my favorite periods. That is the Baroque period. The Baroque period is classified by the ornamentation or the layers and layers and layers of melodies. And we know that Bach was the forefounder, well, not the forefounder, but the Baroque period, it marked his stamp the year that Bach died. You have Monteverdi in the Orfeo, and that was our awesome opera, the Orfeo. The Coronation of Poppaea. You have Handel's Messiah. Fireworks and water music was also two more of his highlighted compositions. You have Henry Purcell, and you know Dido and Aeneas. Vivaldi, the spring, the La Primavera, spring. And there's also one more of those. I can't really see what I have there. And Corelli, the trio sonata in A minor, opus 3, number 10. And of course you have the Bach, the organ fugue in G minor, the toccata, the Brandenburg Concerto number 5 in D major. All of Bach's classics, you can really hear the layering, and then the instrumentation was the harpsichord and organ, to be specific, for Bach. So that was the Baroque period. Now let's get into the classical period. Though the classical period was a very short period, it is still important that we note these awesome individuals. You have the three B's, not including Bach, but now we have Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven. Haydn, String Quartet, Opus number 1, Symphony number 1 in D major, Symphony Farewell, the Farewell Symphony number 45 in F sharp minor, Symphony number 94, which is the Surprise Symphony, the Trumpet Concerto in E flat major. Mozart, you have the Symphony number 1 in E flat major, Don Giovanni, Ein klein Nacht music, Symphony number 40 in G minor. Beethoven, of course, we have the C minor Pathétique, the Piccino Sonata that's the same thing. The Symphony number 5 in C minor, and the Symphony number 9 in D minor, which is the choral. So I need you to go and to listen to all of those. The style of the classical music, I want to say it included more dynamics. It was dynamically driven, the style in classical music, in the classical music period. Now I want to go to the Romantic. Romantic, you have Schubert, the Earl King, Berlioz, the Symphony Fantastique, Chopin, the Revolutionary, the Etude, Chopin's Etude, Revolutionary, Opus 10, number 12, which is my favorite, the Polonaise in A flat major, Opus number 53, and the Nocturne in E flat major. I loved all of Chopin's stuff. I mean, when you think about Romanticism, the Romantic period, it was dynamics, but it was so lush. It was so felt. It was dramatic, but it had more passion driven into it, I think. You have R. Schumann, the Carnival, C. Schumann, the Romance, Puccini, La Boheme, Liszt, the Transcendental Etude in F minor, Brahms, Requiem, Tchaikovsky, Romeo and Juliet, the Nutcracker, and then you have Wagner, Die Verke. Don't forget Mendelssohn, the Midsummer Night's Dream, which was awesome, and also Elijah. That's 1820 to 1910. Now we're going to move on to the Impressionism period. The Impressionism period was a very different sound, very different, very different time signatures would change all the time within these pieces. Very dissonance chords, a lot of dissonance chords, a lot of just different sounding things. And the forerunners of those that I wrote down was Prokofiev, The Cinderella, Romeo and Juliet, Love of Three Oranges, Hindermith, Klein Kammer Music, The Fin of Blazer, Schoenberg, the Percat Lonaire, and a trio for strings. Boris, the poem Electronique, and y'all, let me tell you something about that. I can honestly remember this being inside of the listening portion in the Praxis. It sounded very electronic. It was very, and they may ask you something like, what was the interval of this passage? So not just knowing the musical periods, but really knowing how to read. So music theory and music, all of this had a different, all of this kind of weaved together. But I promise you, if you at least know the musical periods and the musical styles, then that is half of your battle. So the poem Electronique, density 21.5. Crumb, Ancient Voices of Children, Black Angels, and Music for a Summer Evening. Charles Ives, Simple Gifts, Symphonies 23, Symphonies 2 and 3, the three pieces in England, the Chains Weird Question, the Unanswered Question, that's what they say, I'm sorry. And then the last person is Zwilich, the Concerto Grosso, 1985, Symphonies 1 and 2. Please listen to these pieces, because I promise you will be asked about these in one way or another. Okay, we're gonna get into this is still, I want to say this is still earlier 20th century, mid 20th century to present. You have Bartok, the Concerto for Orchestra, Music for Strings, Benjamin Britten, the War Requiem, the Serenade for Tenor, Horn, and Strings. Berg, is it Albenberg? I forget Berg's first name. The Lyric Suite, and I have something called Wozik at the bottom. Then you have Igor Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring, the Firebird, and the Petrushka. I really do hope that you guys can go and listen to all of these things that I have laid out for you. And I did not notate any jazz. I did not notate any rock or folk and other popular genres for the simple fact that I feel like I am more familiar with that sound, or what that sounds like, than the medieval, Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic, impressionism. So I would say, though, I do recall hearing maybe some Gershwin, maybe some Ella Fitzgerald, maybe some Charlie Parker, maybe some Louis Armstrong from time to time. Just make sure that you have done some work in researching at least all of these pieces. Once you have done that, I promise you, when they ask you a question, the question is going to be something along the lines of, let me see if I can find one. All right, so here's one of the examples of what I think. All right, so we just said Mozart, for example. I'm going to a question. Mozart, we know that's a classical. He's in the classical period. So, recorded example, they're going to play, this is a listening portion, excerpt from Mozart's opera Die Zauberflöte, aria Der Herrliche Rache, sung by the Queen of the Night character. And then they ask this question, what is the style or period? So if you play a Mozart piece, you automatically have that. And they have it A, Renaissance, B, Baroque, C, Classical, D, Romantic. What is it? You got it. It is in the classical period. So what I'm saying to you, if you could go ahead and listen to these pieces or just make notes of, hey, this composer belongs to this period, then that's one right answer there. Now, they have another recorded example from excerpt from in C. So this is another one that that is a listening part. So they ask who is the composer. So if you haven't listened to the things, then you wouldn't even begin to guess, So they have Terry Riley. Who is Terry Riley? I don't know. They have Charles Ives. They have John Corey Gilano. And then they have Duke Ellington. So I already know at least Charles Ives. I know what his music sounds like. I know what Duke Ellington's music sounds like. So I have a higher percentage of at least getting this right. This is a 50-50 question because I don't know Terry Riley, nor do I know John Corey Giuliano or whoever he is. So I'm just saying to you, number one, I do think that you should download this Praxis test, the Praxis test information that's from ETS. And all I'm doing, guys, I'm just here to help you pass. I'm just here to help you put it in formation in a right sequence where you'll at least know, hey, this is who this sounds like. This is where this composer sounds like. So I am going to leave you now. I'm going to be back on next time to talk about B. B is familiar with world musics and their function in the culture of origin. So this was just one alphabet in the music history and literature. This book, this Praxis Study Companion, has 3 in alphabet 1. So it is understanding the history of major developments in musical style and the significant characteristics of important musical styles and historical periods. That's what I just went over. B is familiar with world musics and their function in the culture of origin. And C knows various sources of printed and electronic information on music history and literature. So we're going to have so much work to do. It was so good talking with you all. And guess what? We're going to pass. See you next time.